So you clicked on this video because you're probably asking yourself these following questions. Should I buy Bitcoin at all? Should I buy Bitcoin right now? Or should I wait? What even is Bitcoin? And how do I buy it? Well, hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have at least one of these questions answered, and you should be able to get some free Bitcoin. And hopefully I'll provide a well-balanced argument so you can decide whether it is for you or not. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Euan, and on this channel we talk about personal finance and investing in the stock market. So if that's something that tickles your fancy, then why not hit the subscribe button and hit the like button as well, because that'd be really, really kind. But please remember, I'm not a financial advisor and I'm not a Bitcoin expert. So please do your own research before investing your capital. So let's start with what is Bitcoin, and then we'll get into how you can actually buy it. Well, Bitcoin is a type of cryptocurrency, and I hear you ask, what is a cryptocurrency? Well, a cryptocurrency is a digital form of money, and each transaction related to that form of money is recorded on the blockchain. So it already got a bit confusing, didn't it? So the way I explained it to my missus earlier is that it is another form of currency, so like a dollar or a pound. However, the main difference and advantage of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is that it is decentralized. So in the way that dollars and pounds, for example, are owned and created by the government, Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies are not controlled by the government or created by the government. And the idea is that Bitcoin will become a global currency. So cut out the middleman, cut out the governments, cut out the banks, cut out the real estate agents, blah, 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 so that it's consumer to consumer. So that's just a little bit of background into Bitcoin. If you want to see a bit more background and an in-depth sort of history of Bitcoin, then go watch Damien Talks Money's video on Bitcoin, obviously after my video. Sorry, Damien. So before we get into should you buy Bitcoin, you need to know how to buy it and what platform I'm currently using. So I've been doing research for the last couple of months, and finally have I decided that it is a good idea to put some money into Bitcoin. So I've only invested in the last couple of days, but I am using Coinbase. The reason that I'm using Coinbase is because they have good reviews, and they also allow you to store your crypto offline. So you can use the vault or you can use a wallet. This basically prevents your Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies from being stolen. And also the other great thing about Coinbase is if you deposit £75, you'll get £7.50-ish in Bitcoin. So as you know, I love a good freebie, who doesn't? So I'll leave the link down in the description. So if you do sign up, then you will get a free £7.50-ish worth of Bitcoin. And for full transparency, so will I. But make sure you do your own research before investing your capital, because it is a very risky asset, and I want you to hear the downsides and the advantages that come with investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So what are the risks and the downside of investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies right now? Well, I can think of three big reasons. So number one, it is a truly volatile asset and it is speculative. So in other words, as the shrunken head would say,
it's going to be a bumpy ride.
So if you do invest, you need to be prepared for it to go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down for the foreseeable future. This is why it's not currently being used as a transactional currency, because of the volatility, but more on that later. Number two is that it is unknown. It's an unknown asset. We don't really know who invented Bitcoin. We have this Satoshi someone? Let me find out. Satoshi Nakamoto is supposedly the person who invented Bitcoin, but he's not really sure. We're not really sure. We don't really know. This obviously adds added risk because we don't know if this person will reveal the secrets, they'll steal all the Bitcoin. We don't really know what's going to happen. That is one of the big risks that probably not many people have thought about, is that if he built it, surely he could take it all away and walk away with a lot of money. Who knows? It could be the biggest scam in the world. We don't know. And the third point is this is not a short-term play. So this is a really, really long-term vision. If it's not a scam, then we need to be thinking long term about this, because if this is going to be a currency, it needs to be less volatile. At the moment it's super volatile because not everyone really knows what it's about. It's going up and down and up and down as people get more interested and people come up with these other things, because there was a massive up in 2017 and then it dropped back to a new normal, but it did drop a lot and a lot of people lost money. And if we do think about it long term and we get to that point where it can be used transactionally, then that is when it gets serious, and that's where we want it to be a little less fluctuatory. We don't want it to fluctuate as much, because one day you could buy a pizza and then the next day it could be worth your house, or the next day you buy a house and then it's worth a pizza. So We don't want that. So if you're thinking about Bitcoin as a quick way to make money, do not think about it like this, because it is truly needs to be a long-term play. And if you think about it as a quick get rich quick scheme, then you'll end up probably broke. You might get rich, but you never know. So obviously there are some downsides, and we do need to think about this before we invest. And the history of Bitcoin is nothing compared to the history of companies and the history of other assets like gold, silver, all these other assets that have had a long history of being around. Bitcoin is in its teenage years, so we really need to be careful about what is happening with it and where it could go, because it could end up down the toilet. So what are the upsides? Why could you actually invest in this? Why do I think it's a good investment? Etc, etc. So the first one is mainstream adoption. So PayPal are currently accepting it, and you can actually buy and sell Bitcoin on PayPal's website. So that is a big step up for a company like this, and this could potentially be the start of a chain of events of other companies and other sort of banking, financial services companies incorporating Bitcoin into their systems and how people can pay and buy, etc, etc. And there have been rumors that Tesla may convert some of their cash into Bitcoin, which, if this happens, I can guarantee that this will be a topple effect. So a lot of other companies will decide to do this. It might just start in Silicon Valley with these tech startups, etc, etc, and it will eventually get to the bigger companies, the Apples, the Amazons, etc, etc, where it would just change the whole landscape of Bitcoin, and it would be an asset. Let's just say it wouldn't be in the 30,000s, it would be in the hundreds, 200, 300, 400,000 pounds per Bitcoin. So this is something that really needs to be considered, because if Tesla do this, then it will just skyrocket. I promise you. And the second one is the Coinbase IPO. So Coinbase are set to IPO fairly soon, which, if that happens, then they obviously will build upon their platform and give the ability for more people to buy Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin and trade Bitcoin, etc, which will be a huge step in the market and potentially mean that Bitcoin prices go, as they're one of the leading Bitcoin exchanges. And number three is that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a hedge against governments. So we've all had an interesting year with governments like providing stimulus checks and furlough schemes, etc, where they've helped us. But we all know that there's potentially some shady stuff. We don't really know what goes on within the government. We don't know how they spend their money, allocate their resources, etc, etc. So this is a hedge against everything that could potentially go wrong. So the governments get overthrown by a load of people that run into the White House, something like this, something absolutely crazy that we never thought of. This is quite similar to buying gold or silver, which is a hedge against a currency. And four is the fact that it could potentially become a global currency. So if Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of these cryptocurrencies become a global currency, it will change the landscape of economics, it will change the landscape of government and how we interact with people, how we buy things. It will change a massive amount of things that will mean life will be different, and we could cohabit the world as a sort of unified world instead of individual countries that fight to compete with each other. So you never know what may happen. This might not happen in our lifetime, but you never know. That is sort of the way you need to think about this, is that at once we traded with wheat, grains, then we traded with precious metals and rocks, and now we trade with money. The next thing could be a digital currency. So if you think about it like that, on a widen your brain type of way, it is a ridiculous thing that could potentially change the whole world and the way we sort of interact with it. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to be cost averaging around 2% of my net worth into Bitcoin / Ethereum, potentially if I've done a bit more research on that, and continue just investing and holding long term, because I know that potentially this could rise from 32k or whatever it is in the 30k's to a ridiculous amount of money. So I basically don't want to be on the sideline and miss out on what could potentially be the next transfer of wealth, because in 50-60 years I don't want to be sat on a load of unused pound notes, unfortunately. Or like bank, you know what I mean. So obviously that's not a lot of money, and 2% of my net worth is not very much, but we'll talk about my net worth in another video, so don't worry about that. But I think it's definitely worth it, even with the volatility in the market, because I think that getting in and cost averaging in, you never know where it might go. Bitcoin to the moon, right? Yeah. And obviously I want to learn more about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, etc, etc. So I will be talking about it on this channel a little bit more once I know more about it. So make sure you are subscribed, because then you can learn more about it as well. So thanks for watching. Make sure you are subscribed, like and comment, and don't forget to get your free Coinbase Bitcoin worth £7.50-ish. And if you want some free shares as well, then I've got a Trading 212 link and a free trade link down in the description below. So go get your free stuff. Thanks for watching. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm trying to help you become one. So you know what I mean. Hiccup. So this could be something that, so this could be something